What up, gang? This is Coach Vassar with the OTF Audio Daily Beats. Thank you for tuning into these as I ramble about some of the Orange Theory workouts. If you're new to these, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you find value in them, information is in the description on how to support me. Completely optional. Just buy me a coffee if you want to. Don't do it until you find value in them, of course. This is going to be on Saturday, October 12th. This is also going to repeat on Tuesday, October 22nd. We'll go over a little bit of the overview, treads, rower, weight floor, and then any differences that you'll see in the 3G. Let's dive into it. So for this workout, we are going to see treadmills, key concept, how powerful can you be today with 3 blocks and 9 all-outs. All-outs get shorter each block, so your goal is to increase intensity. Rower, you're going to end your 3-4 blocks with an all-out row. Check your distance after each row. You want to stay as close to your previous distance as the rows get shorter. And then on the floor, we're going to see 3 blocks, build strength by lifting heavy today. So we're going to see power on the treads, power on the rower, and strength on the weight floor. Now, looking at the treads, this is 3 blocks. They're going to start at 7.5 minutes, followed by 6.5, and then 5.5 with a 90-second walk recovery. This is actually a format that we have seen quite often, not only in the past year, but just over the years. So we're going to start with a buy-in push-base combo, and then we're going to see 3 all-outs. In block 1, the all-out is a minute each. Walk recoveries are a minute, and then a minute 30 to end the block. The second block, same setup with the push-base combo, and then the all-outs are going to be 45 seconds for the 3 times. And then in the third block, 30-second all-outs. Walk recoveries are still a minute each, though. The big difference here is the push base does slightly change. So block 1, 1 minute push, 90-second base, and then hit the all-outs. In block 2, push stays at 1 minute, base is only going to be 75 seconds, and then the all-outs 45 seconds. And then in the third block, 1 minute push, 1 minute base, and then your 30-second all-outs with 1 minute recoveries in between. As I said, this is something that we have seen multiple times just in this year alone. So hopefully for the somewhat veteran coaches, this should be familiar. For the newer coaches, that push base, that buy-in, I like to use the analogy of, revving the engine, getting the engine warm, getting the body warm. So the push is just something to kind of get your legs moving a little bit faster. Power walkers, 6% or greater, joggers and runners, probably 1.5 over base. And then you have a long base to kind of coast, recover before you hit that first 1 minute all out. What we're looking to do in this format is within the block, at the very least, maintain or increase the all out on the repeat attempts. So you have the idea of practice, perfect, perform within the block, but also block to block. So whatever they did for their 1 minute all outs, obviously their 45-second all outs should be at a higher intensity compared to the block 1. And the same thing, the 30-second all outs should be at a higher intensity compared to block 2 because they are shorter. Now, whether they continue to increase, that is up to member discretion, but at the very least, block to block to block should see some type of increase. So obviously an increase of speed, increase of incline, combination of both possibly. And then for the bikes, whether that's increasing their gear, maintain RPM, or hold the same gear, but increase RPM. Either one of those will see increase to their wattage. Of course, if they increase gear and RPM, even better. I'm not going to talk too much about this one since it is something that we've seen quite a bit with. So once again, that push, hopefully you get that heart rate to come up. And then for that base, heart rate will kind of level up back to that green. And then as they hit those all outs, they're definitely hitting that orange about halfway through towards the tail end with those 1 minutes. In the 45-second and the 30 seconds, maybe they are just barely dipping into that orange at the peak of the time of the all out. And then they'll actually keep that heart rate kind of elevated during that walk recovery before it starts to come down. When we look at the rowers and weight floor, same setup, 3 different blocks, 7.5, 6.5, and then 5.5. They are going to see 2 movements within the blocks as a work and rest. And they're just going to repeat that until you send them to the rowers for a 1 minute all out row in block 1, block 2, 45-second all out row, and then block 3, 30-second all out row. On the template, it does mention to have the weight floor transition to the rowers during the second walk recovery of each block. So when you look at block 1's template on the tread side, the 1 minute all out, walk recovery, 1 minute all out, 1 minute walk recovery, transition floor to rower. So they have that minute to kind of get settled in, and then they do that 1 minute all out row when the treads hit that third 1 minute all out row. That's gonna be the same setup for the second and the third block. The movements themselves, it's actually all about tempo today. So while we are trying to lift as heavy as we can, at the same time, tempo is going to be a factor. So more towards that moderate weight choice. And then as they repeat, see if they could increase weight without sacrificing tempo. Recommendation is a slow tempo. So 3 counts down, pause, 1 count up. If people really want to challenge, one of my coaches would have people do 3 counts down and also 3 counts up, really get that burn. In block 1, we're going to see a front-loaded contralateral single arm split squat. So we'll have 1 dumbbell at the shoulder, that same foot's going to step back, feet stay where they are, 3 counts down, pause, and then come back up, 6 to 10 reps. Followed by that will be a reverse grip low row, so palms are away, drive those elbows back. Anyone who has lower back issues, great option for that one, of course, is to do it from the strap, or even do a split stance position. In block 2, we're going to see the single dumbbell good morning, followed by the hollow hold closed grip chest press. That is with 2 dumbbells, so elbows are tucked in, driving up. A lot of core activation with that second movement. So if they feel their lower back popping up, my go-to option for that is to have them pull their knees in closer, mimicking the dead bug position when the arms are straight up. So arms are straight up, thighs are vertical, knees are bent 90 degrees, and that way they could really keep that lower back glued to the floor, but they still feel that crunch in the abs. And then in the third block, we're going to see a bridge hold with pullover, followed by the Arnold press. Other than that, that's going to be the 2G, very simple as far as the movements go, just 2 at a time with the 1 minute push and then the 90, 75, and the 1 minute base. You're having 2.5 minutes to 2 minutes to really pay attention to the weight floor, see how their movement patterns are for that first round. And that way, if you have any need to make an adjustment during those 1 minute walk recoveries, that's a great opportunity to do that. When we look at the 3G, this one is going to be set up where on the treads, there's just 2 blocks. So they'll have block 1 with that 1 minute push, 90-second base, and then 3 1 minute all outs. They'll get a 90-second walk recovery. And then for the block 2, this is the third block of the 2G. So 1 minute push, 1 minute base, and then the 30-second all outs. Same goal here. So whatever they do for that first 1 minute all out, maintain or try to bump it up on the next 2. When we move to block 2, definitely try to increase it. For the rower itself, it's going to be 1 long 14.5 minute block. What they're going to do is hit new interval at the start of each section. And in part 1, they're going to do a time to base all out. So 1 minute, they'll rest as long as they need to. Without resetting the screen, they'll do another 1 minute, rest, and then do another one, 1 minute. And what we're looking to do is try to accumulate as much distance with those 3 minutes of work right there. Once they finish, for 1 round, they'll do alternating step out squats. That completes part 1. Part 2 and part 3 are set up the same way, but they are going to mimic the all out efforts that we saw in the 2G. So in part 2, it'll be a 45-second all out 3 times. And the goal here is however far they got in the first part, we want to try to get within 200 meters or less of the previous distance. And then for part 3, there'll be 30-second all outs 3 times. Same thing, can they get within the 200 meter mark or less of the previous distance? Once they finish that, they're going to do a 30-second all out row, rack and recover as a bonus until their finisher. And the finisher for this one is actually the step out squat. So during that final walk recovery on block 2 on the treads, have the rowers, rack up their handles. They could wipe it down at that point, stand up, get behind the rower, and get ready to do step out squats for the final 30 seconds. When we look at the weight floor, we are going to see kind of a blended block section from the 2G. So block 1 is going to incorporate block 1's movements as well as 1 movement from block 3. So we'll have the split squat, the reverse grip low row, and the bridge hold. And then in block 2, same idea. So you have block 2 movements and then the other movement from block 3. So Arnold press, and then the good morning and the closed grip chest press. Finisher is going to be their choice of either reverse grip low row or Arnold press. So push-pull opportunity there. And that's the workout for the 12th and the 22nd. So once again, power on the treads, power on the rower, and then strength on the weight floor. Plenty of opportunity to kind of help members on the floor with these, 1 minute plus intervals from the treads. With the rowers, when it comes to that recovery in the 3G, the good way to kind of set this up is either go time-based recovery or even just, heart rate-based or the water itself. If people pay attention to the water, once they finish that last stroke of their 1 minute all out, the water is going to continue to spin for about 20 to 30 seconds or so. And for some people, that's a good way to kind of, visualize, okay, the water's still moving, I need to take a break. Once the water stops, okay, let's go for the next round. They could also go off a heart rate, because hopefully with that 1 minute all out row, heart rate monitor is reading well, and they're definitely hitting to that, mid to high orange. Wait for that heart rate to come back down to like low green before they take off again. And then they can also go just time-based. So if they want to do like a 1-to-1 situation, work for a minute, rest for a minute, work for a minute, rest for 30 seconds. They have their clock, so they could use that. That's all I got for you guys. As always, any feedback, appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Other than that, coach it down.